Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
Hezbollah, star power here in Abu Dhabi.
Cheers, guys.
Second all, it's there for you, because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You're getting emotional, Tony.
That's because I know what it's like to lose a pet.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alternative Jargon, episode number 56. Thank you for all the support on last week's episode. I don't know if it was actually good or if the algorithm got a hold of it. Maybe the word fascism is just trending everywhere right now. I'm not really sure. But either way, it was nice to see that. So I don't know how the lighting really looks today. I look kind of purple or blue, but that is the color of the logo of the show, so we're just going to run with it. This is not a visual medium in any way, shape, or form. The Super Bowl is coming up this week. As you can see, I'm celebrating here with my little mini Eagles helmet. Really cool throwback here with the Riddell. The only people really wearing these helmets anymore are like Aaron Rodgers, and he's probably on his way out, most likely. The old bucket helmets. No Guardian cap, no Speed Flex, no nothing. The old school ones. This one here, actually game worn by Darren Sproles. If you remember him, really good former Eagle running back, good punt returner for us, about 5'7". He wore this one. So really cool merchandise there. Might actually do a little fundraiser giveaway for this baby, and all of the proceeds will go to whatever shooting happens next or whatever. This week I really wanted to talk about the Super Bowl aesthetics each year. Now, this is something that has sort of risen into popularity the last few years. I talked about it last year when the logo was purple and red and everyone thought the Ravens and the Niners were going to match up. That died off when the Ravens didn't win. The Black Hole Sun edit on TikTok didn't work, unfortunately. It hasn't worked against the Chiefs at all. It didn't work for Josh Allen, didn't work for CJ Stroud. Maybe it'll work for Jalen Hurts. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't know. Soundgarden, their streams are going up, but the old Black Hole Sun edits have not been really doing the work, have they? Now this year, the whole logo conspiracy actually works again because the Super Bowl 59 logo for New Orleans actually does match the team colors again. The green is not quite on. It's more of a high pitched. It's more of a lighter shade of green than the Eagles' midnight green. But nonetheless, it's green and red, and no one's talking about it. Maybe it's because there's already been enough talk about the Chiefs and the refs and everything. Everyone, they don't care about the logo anymore. I don't know. Now, last week I called the Chiefs fascists. I called the Chiefs the Third Reich. But I got to be honest, I don't believe the NFL's not rigged, and I will die on that hill. Yes, there are bad calls. There are calls that we wish could have gone one way or another, but it's not rigged. And I feel like even though the episode's a year old, I feel like I'm kind of talking in circles about this again. But my whole thing, why I would die on this hill, is that the NFL has no reason to rig games, and if they ever got caught rigging games, the league would be over forever. No one would ever have trust in it again. The NFL is going to make a cajillion dollars no matter what, no matter who's in the Super Bowl. 100 million people are going to watch. They have no incentive to rig the games, and that goes for all sports leagues. When there are billions of dollars, why would you put that at stake? There's people are going to tune in no matter what. Unless you're the NBA. The NBA is not looking real good right now, but we'll get to the Luka Doncic thing here in a little bit. I want to talk about the Super Bowl, though. Yeah, this year the logo's green and red. No one's talking about it. I have been very hyper fixated on the Super Bowl logos and graphics packages since I was a little kid. It's really interested me for a long time. And, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but that's why it drove me so crazy when people were talking about the logo is this color, and that means this team and this team are going to play. And it really annoyed me because, I might know, I do this stuff in my free time. In my free time, I look at Super Bowl logos. I look at the score bugs that different networks use for different Super Bowls. That's what I do with all of my free time. All of it. Just kidding. But no, it is something that I really like. I've always been into sports broadcasting and sports. I'm just into marketing in general. It's what I went to school for. So I've always loved to see what the graphics teams and the marketing office cooks up every year, because 100 million people are going to see that work. There's almost nothing else in the entire world as big as a sporting event, whether it's the World Cup, the Olympics, the Super Bowl, whatever it is. Those are some of the most watched things ever. When throughout history has there been a time where you go, oh, I'm going to make this little thing and 120 million people are going to see it? That's extremely rare. It's why everyone spends $1 billion on their Super Bowl commercial. It's why they make ads for their ads for the Super Bowl. A month before the Super Bowl, you see companies come out and it's a little 15-second teaser with Eli Manning eating a chip or something, and then it goes, see the rest, February 9th, 2025, whatever. That's why. And it's, it's definitely not money down the drain. It's definitely not. People talk about it. If marketing was money down the drain, then there would be no marketing. But yeah, every year before the Super Bowl, people bring out the logo for next year's Super Bowl. They did this last year with this year's Super Bowl. So, the week before Super Bowl 58, people were going, here's the Super Bowl 59 logo. And we know from this that so-and-so, same thing. Now, last year, and the thing that really gets me is that the new Super Bowl logo for the next year's Super Bowl almost always comes out like the week after that past Super Bowl. So the logo for Super Bowl 60 will probably drop before the end of February. But people don't get that. And every year on Twitter or wherever else, people spread about terribly photoshopped logos. I mean, I could probably throw something together better, and I'm really not that good at graphic design. Last year, it was, I'll throw it on the screen. People showed this logo for New Orleans. It's got it's terrible. It's really bad, and it looks like the font on Super Bowl is not even the official Super Bowl font. They use the same one for those words every year. I mean, don't question me on this stuff, all right? I don't want to grandstand on anybody, but I know my logo stuff when it comes to the NFL. It's definitely like my niche interest. But look, they took Louis Armstrong.png silhouette and threw it on a terrible gradient. That looks like a Photoshop gradient. That's not even an Illustrator gradient. They have the New Orleans skyline with the Mardi Gras mask. It just looks terrible. It really doesn't look good. The Super Bowl text is half blurred at the top, and people full on believe this. And I'm not making fun of those people. I'm really not, because the fact that I have this very particular interest and sort of study of this topic, no one else probably does. No one else cares. It's a logo. Why are you worried about a logo? But And then this year, there's another one going around. The Super Bowl is going to be in Detroit. And now there's this one going around. Even worse. Okay, first of all, they took the Super Bowl nameplate text here at the bottom straight from Super Bowl 53, I believe, which was in Atlanta, and which the Patriots won. That's the exact same color from Super Bowl 53, which the NFL's never going to reuse old stuff. And then they just, put a clipping mask over LX with, oh, sorry, it's not Detroit, it's San Francisco. My bad. The reason I thought it was Detroit is because people saw this fake logo and they went, dude, it's officially confirmed. Lions in next year. Look at that blue. This is not going to be the logo for Super Bowl 60. I guarantee it. So Lions, maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't, but it will have nothing to do with something that people make over at NFL on their MacBook Pro. All right. Really annoying. But it only, like I said, it's only annoying to me because I am a nerd about it. Now, aside from just the logo, with the logo comes a full sort of graphics package. They decorate the stadium. It's at a neutral site. Lots of cool decorations. This year they have this really weird font. Let me see if I can find this. I don't like this at all. Okay, the NFL is using this font. It's like literally hard to read the text on the screen for some of the Super Bowl advertisement posts. Let me see if I can pull one of these up here while Instagram takes forever to load. The text is all like stretched out, so it'll say like it. Let me just find it here. It's really weird. Now, I like risky graphics decisions. I really do. Yeah, here's one. Okay, 2024-25 NFL playoffs. Okay, I'll put this up on the screen here for you, but I don't know about that design choice. See, I tried to find the motif of the, like, I thought it had a double meaning the way the letters were stretched out like this. So then I thought, oh, maybe all the big ones spell something, all the small ones spell something. I don't think plof A's is anything. I don't think A's plof means anything. Maybe, maybe my For You page is different than Roger's. Maybe he, I don't know. But that's a weird one. But yeah, a lot of the stuff is using this weird misshapen font. And I'm not sure what it means. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. But I'm glad they're taking a risk. We did have the extreme dark ages in Super Bowl logo history about a decade ago. I'll pull this up. Super Bowl logo history during, I believe it was 45 to 49. They were all just these chrome metallic, boring logos. And this is the Super Bowl logo that I kind of grew up with, unfortunately. So these ones here in the middle, really boring. Really, really boring. They were just metallic. They just had the stadium with metallic behind it. And that was it. Now, in the mid to late 2010s, they did decide to throw some color on the logos once again, thank gosh. And I have to say, I think the modern logos we've had from Super Bowl, like 56 to now, have been the best in history. Everyone says that the ones that we had back in the 80s and 90s were really good, and they were definitely the most all over the place, which I do give it to them for that. The problem is, though, that with every brand now, every logo has to be simplistic enough to be transported across every medium. The Super Bowl logo isn't just going to go on the field in the jerseys. It's going to go on bags of Doritos, on beer cans, on shirts, on hats. It's going to be in 1,000 different spots. And so the reason why logos throughout the entire industry have gotten so, more simple now is for that reason. I understand it, but I mean, the Super Bowl 59 logo is pretty wacky, and I like that. It's pretty bold, it's bright, it's got like neon green, bright red. So we are getting back to some better stuff. And I really do like those because, I like a logo that's fun, but I also like a logo that is fun while within strict parameters. You have to, that's the challenge of marketing. That's the challenge of branding, is I want to make my thing really cool and really fun, but it's still got to be within this strict criteria to work in all these places. So these logos every year probably go through 100, checks and double checks and triple checks by 100 different people. And, the CEO of Frito-Lay might reach out and go, dude, I like the vision, but this is not going to look good on spicy sweet chili. And that's been our top seller this quarter. So back to square one, brother. Okay. That's the truth. The NFL is a company. They have to consider these things. How will my logo look on Bud Light versus the Capital One commercial? It's tough. It's really tough. And the Super Bowl committee every year has to consider those things. So, yeah. Now, another fun thing about the Super Bowl is that we get a new score bug. Now, the score bug is just the industry term for the scoreboard on the screen during a live broadcast. People have their favorites. People have their least favorites. If I had to pick a favorite, I really did like the Fox score bug from like 2010. I might be blinded by nostalgia a little bit, but it was so simple. It took up like 10 pixels of the whole screen, top left corner. It just had the city letters abbreviation with the color on the background, the time, the play clock, the timeouts. And then they even put a little string of lights around it for Christmas time. I mean, what more do you need? It did its job. It was really good, and it wasn't screaming in your face. My least favorite, probably ESPN. ESPN has done this thing for years now where their score bug takes up like the entire 10% of the bottom of the screen. And it connects to the bottom. It's not just floating, it's like a whole, entity just grew out of the bottom of your TV. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like a score bug that's cool looking, but I don't like one that just takes up too much real estate. And that one definitely, in my opinion, does. But this year, Fox has the game. We're going to get Kevin and Tom Brady on the call. Why can I not think of Kevin? It's KB. Kevin. I should know this. But yeah, we're going to get those two guys. I really like them. Tom Brady, I do really like as a color commentator. I do. He's got really good insights, and I think his ceiling is going to be really, really high as a commentator. I think he's going to, someday, people, your kids are going to be watching football, and, they're going to get acquainted enough with the league where they start to pick up on networks and who commentates on what networks, and they're gonna go, that Tom Brady, he's really good. He's got to be one of the best commentators ever, and they might not even know that he is how good he was as a player. They probably will. Right now, every time they cut to Brady under his name, they have 7-time Super Bowl champ, which I don't think people really need to know. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And that part is kind of tired. They'll cut to Kurt Menefee for a game break. And every time it goes back to the game that Tom and Kevin are calling, Kurt has to say, the Super Bowl this year will be on Fox, and Tom, you know a little bit about those, don't you? It's like, we know. We get it. If people find that obnoxious, I get that part, because it is a little bit, all right, unless this is your first football game you've ever watched. You don't need to know that. It's just a little excessive at times. But I do really like Tom in the booth. I think he's going to be good, and I think that, I mean, he's got a 10-year contract. Is that thing true that since he owns part of the Raiders, he's going to get kicked off of Fox? I heard something about that a while back. I don't know if that's really going to grow legs or not, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't really see how owning a part of a team could, I mean, I don't really see an issue with it because it's not, I don't know. But anyway, one more thing about Super Bowl logos too. Thank God that the NFL doesn't put sponsorships on their logos. I think they do for the divisional, the wild card, and the conference championship round. It's like sponsored by TurboTax or something stupid, but thank God the Super Bowl logo doesn't have presented by freaking Capital One under it. Because the MLB, the NBA, college football, they all do that. Welcome to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by State Farm. And then, that's on the graphic, it's on the score bug, it's on the freaking trophy. Okay, the trophy that goes in your case for the next millennia is going to have State Farm on it. At least I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think they do that in some leagues. It's like, oh my gosh. When do we keep the integrity of the title intact over, our sponsor getting their message out there? That doesn't sit right with me. Instead of the NBA Finals, now it's, you're getting hyped for the game. Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson pop up on your screen. Not anymore, unfortunately. Now it's just Breen. But, they go, welcome to the NBA Finals, presented by YouTube TV. That's at least for me, that's a punch to the gut. Ow. I just hit my head. It's a punch to the gut. It's a bang of the head. It's a concussion. It takes me out of the moment. I don't like it. And then they cut to the wide angle of the teams warming up on the court. Jason Tatum bricks a three. Kristaps Porzingis is standing flat-footed dunking. And all scattered around them on the court are 25 YouTube TV logos. Some of them are painted on the court. Some of them are stickers. Some of them are superimposed through the broadcast. I mean, it's just disgusting. And it's also disgusting that the NBA little Mickey Mouse in-season cup tournament that doesn't mean anything, by the way, they bring out these special courts for those. I mean, how much does an NBA court probably cost? It's got to be like six figures minimum for a whole court. Minimum. It might be seven figures. I don't even want to look that up or guess because it's probably disgusting. But every team has it seems like 10 different courts now for whatever jersey they're wearing because they never wear their actual jerseys anymore. And then the NBA in-cup tournament, let's make it look royal and festive. And then you get to the actual championship, the thing that we wait 365 days for every single year. And now we have blank hardwood with YouTube logos everywhere. What the hell is that, Adam Silver? It's awful. It's really, really bad. You get to the Super Bowl, and it's a green field with the NFL Shield logo in the middle, with the Super Bowl logos at each 25-yard line and one end zone for each team's word mark, logo, and team color. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. And for someone like me who loves branding, marketing, and sports, that's the stuff you live for. I mean, that stuff is so fun. I follow the guy who created sportslogos.net on Twitter. He's a really awesome guy. Forget his name. It's I think it's Chris Creamer. Is it Chris Creamer? Yeah, baby. This guy's awesome. I don't know anything about his personal life, but I follow him on Twitter. He made sportslogos.net, and for me, that's like the grand archives of, you know, stuff I'm interested in. That's a really cool site. They have like previous team logos, word marks, Super Bowl field configurations, all that stuff that I love. But yeah, awful, just terrible what's happened to some of our championships in sports. The Lombardi Trophy should have, you know, the logo imprinted on it from Tiffany & Co. and nothing else. Should have nothing else. I think the other year they brought out the NBA Finals trophy in like a Louis Vuitton luggage case too. I don't know if that was the finals or if it was something else, but talk about just tacky. Okay, you grew up, you've been playing basketball since before you can remember. And you have reached the top of the mountain. There is nowhere else to go. The United States is the premier basketball, you know, powerhouse of the world. We win the Olympics every single year, right? You have won the best basketball league in the world. There's nowhere to go up further from here. And they wheel out the Larry O'Brien trophy in a Louis Vuitton case. It looks like something you would buy on GTA 5. It looks like a backpack that your GTA 5 or 2K player would run through the park with. It looks incredibly tacky and just unprofessional. That's just my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. Not a fan of that. If I was at the top of the mountain in my sport and they wheeled the trophy out in like a Gucci Supreme case, I would like not want to accept that award. How long will it be until there's a YouTube TV logo on the rings? All right. Instead, like, you'll put your championship ring on, and in the middle of it, it'll be a YouTube logo, and then like on the bottom, it'll say like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I guess you won." I mean, how far until that happens? Until Jason of Beverly Hills is sending diamond play buttons to NBA players instead of rings. Good Lord, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? But either way, I'm really excited for the Super Bowl. It's going to be fun. The NFL is one of the few leagues that still has most of their branding intact, if you ask me. It hasn't been perfect, but I think it's the best league. The World Series is brought to you by Capital One. All that junk. Just throw it in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage. And all this talking, I do need a little drink. So we've got on hand today, I already had my White Monster for the day. I didn't have any of the regular old diesel monsters on hand. Those are the best. Those are my favorite. Just the black and greens. But we do have Polar Black Cherry, known on the street, at least by me, as crack. I love these things, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that Luka Doncic trade. There has to be something going on there, and I'm not going to sit here and repeat every Twitter and Instagram story that you've seen in the past couple days about Luka Doncic, because all the jokes have been made, right? But I'm just going to say that there has to be something else going on behind the scenes, whether Luka slept with Mark Cuban's wife, or the GM's wife, or a player's wife, or someone on the staff's wife. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe he pulled a Tony Parker, but I don't get those vibes from Luka, and I don't really... I don't know. It was out of the blue. It was completely out of the blue. The worst trade I've ever seen. I don't really follow the NBA anymore, but I know Luka Doncic, I know Anthony Davis, and I know that they are not at all equals in any way, shape, or form. Anthony Davis, I mean, he's still a good player, but his most relevancy came like in college. He has one ring with the Lakers, the Mickey Mouse bubble ring. And I haven't been really too impressed with the guy since his time at Kentucky. I mean, he even got rid of the unibrow. He sort of conformed, lost his uniqueness. Bring the unibrow back. Where's the unibrow buzz cut look from AD? I do miss that, Anthony Davis. That was a really fun look. He got drafted to the Hornets before they were the Pelicans, and I really thought he was the next guy up, maybe going to lead that franchise to something great. Of course, now the NBA is the worst sport for parity, probably. There's like 3 teams in the league that actually have a shot to win. Nobody's loyal. And I mean, I'm not blaming the players for not being loyal. Don't hate the players, hate the game. You can point fingers at certain superstars in that league that have ruined it over the past 15, 20 years. People can point the finger at LeBron and go, hey, when you left to Miami, you absolutely destroyed, the loyalty in the game. Or you can point you can point the finger at the 2008 Celtics. Hey, you guys were the original super team. Ray Allen, you left Milwaukee. Kevin Garnett, you left Minnesota. And guess what? You got 1 ring out of it. Congrats. Former Celtics fan, I never wanted to admit that, but it is probably true. You could point the finger at Kevin Durant for his Warriors signing in 2016. But I don't know how you solve the NBA. I don't know how. I would say putting a focus on teams more than players is a start. That's what the NFL does. I mean, the NFL right now has a dynasty growing in Kansas City, Missouri. The NFL is not reliant at all upon these big markets to garner attention. They market teams. And the NFL is also a completely different sport. It's the NFL, having an NFL team is like a group of 200 workers all working together to go to war. All right, you got 11 guys on the field, but you got like 50 more on the sideline who could go in and play. Everyone has a headset on. There's people up in the air. It's going to war. The NBA, you got 12 guys and a dude in a tracksuit with a clipboard. It's not as fun. It's not as strategy-based. And I do think NBA players have sort of solved the game. They know that the three-point shot is the most efficient shot. They've all mastered it. And so coming down the court and doing anything but chucking up a three is not as efficient as coming down the court and chucking up a three probably is. They know this. They probably have analytics and statistics, and they're just playing the game. They're trying to win. Now, you could say there's no defense in the NBA. That's probably true. And another thing that really isn't good about the NBA right now is players can kind of just choose not to play when they want. And that's not good. And it's not fair to fans. You have NFL players that go out there and literally put their bodies on the line. Okay, just last week, Landon Dickerson, Eagles lineman, couldn't walk, but he's out there, protecting Jalen Hurts the very next play. It's definitely a different mindset. It's a different atmosphere, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the NFL is not guilty of injuring people. I think it definitely is. There's definitely, not probably now, but back in the day, you could get a concussion and do the Tua, hand thing, and your coach would just be like, "Get your ass back up there, all right." It probably happened, and it did. And a lot of these football players are crazy enough that even if the coach didn't say that, they'd probably willingly go back in the game. But the NBA is, I think it's gotten incredibly soft, and I don't want to sound like the boomer Facebook meme where all the bald guys have Oakleys on. You can use that meme on me if you want, but I do think it's true. Joel Embiid just doesn't play if he doesn't want to. James Harden just doesn't play if he doesn't want to. And if I buy tickets to an NBA game a few months out, and then it's the night before, and it's just, load management, so-and-so is not like, I paid hundreds of dollars to go watch you play. You're the best athletes in the world. I don't like that. That's not fair. But maybe I am just a boomer. I'm not sure. But yeah, the Doncic thing, we're going to see how that works out. My theory, perhaps, is the NBA ratings are pretty bad right now, and maybe someone got paid off in the Mavericks organization to deal Doncic to LA, because when the Lakers are good, the league is good, all this dumb, ideology about that. But yeah, it's baffling. He was just in the finals last year. It's incredibly baffling. And we may never know the truth. But all I will say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, David Stern is rolling in his grave. I feel bad for David Stern. I miss David Stern. That guy knew how to run the show. And I'm really not sure Silver knows how to do that. But either way, almost done with Blood Meridian. I have like 30 pages left. I have not enjoyed this book. I'm going to be honest. Last year I read like Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. It was like 900 pages. It was at times not the most fun. I got through that book easier than I am this. The prose in this is really weird. I don't know if all of McCarthy's books are like this, but I don't know. It's definitely not what I'm used to. It's also just hard to read because the stuff that happens in it is just awful. I said last week, it's supposed to be one of the most violent books ever written, this and that. I'll see what that's about. Yeah, I think it's probably true. It's like, I literally, maybe the ending, I'm not at the end yet. Maybe the ending's going to be really good and tie everything together, but that's not the vibe I'm getting from this book right now. Right now, I want every person in this story to just get their head blown off and for that to be the end. Because I don't like any of these people. I don't like any of them. That would really satisfy me in the end, but we'll see how it ends. Next up after that, we have the absolute mother right here. Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Look at this freaking book, dude. Look at that. It's a monster. There's slightly less words in this than there are in the King James Bible, and I can't wait to read it. I read David Foster Wallace's book, The Broom of the System, last year. I pretty much only knew about him because of Infinite Jest, but I said before I tackle that monster, I want to tackle one of his smaller works. I really didn't like The Broom of the System that much. There were some chapters that were like my favorite chapters, though, in anything I've ever read. I just didn't like the way that book ended, but this is supposed to be his magnum opus. It's freaking ginormous, and I will not have an update on this next week, at least no completion update. Good Lord. This one is going to take me a little bit, but I am really excited, and I think the topic of it, too, will be interesting to see how he tackles it. It's kind of just about entertainment and why we crave entertainment and that whole question. So I'm really excited for that. I keep wanting to call David Foster Wallace DFW, but that's Dallas-Fort Worth, and right now there's a lot of planes going down. What's the deal with that? So I'm going to not call him DFW. I don't think he would mind, but we'll never know. He is passed away. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Go Eagles. This will be auctioned off, the Darren Sproles game worn. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.